If I can have your attention, please. In the event of emergency evacuation, an alarm may sound. Everyone should exit the building by the nearest stairwell in a safe and effective manner. If the nearest stairwell is blocked by smoke, use the other stairwell. Do not use the elevator. Once you've reached the main floor, follow the exit signs to exit the building. Quickly proceed away from the building. Be mindful of others evacuating in emergency vehicles. If you'll call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, you have 4 members present. Commissioner Kaler is absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time, the chair will stand for motion to set the agenda.
Second.
Okay, press your button there, Mr. Hammertree, to move. And Mr. Hinkle, if you'll press second. No, we're not going to suspend the rules, Madam Clerk. We're going to just go on the floor. Let's see. Okay, we have motion to set the agenda made by Hammertree, second by Hinkle. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The agenda's set. Are there any corrections to the minutes? The minutes were in the on the agenda. I'm sure everyone's looked at them. Are there any corrections need to be made? Without objection, then, the minutes will stand approved as circulated. Hearing no objection, so ordered. Public input on items on the agenda. Does anyone wish to speak on any item on the agenda? Okay, we'll move on to the policy that we started on the last meeting. And since our meeting, I've had 2 other organizations request that they be separated from the blanket policy, which we're working on. That's the Economic Development Board and the Smoky Mountain Tourism Development Authority. So without objection, we'll go ahead and separate those 2 agencies. Hearing no objection, so ordered. Now you'll notice that we have items in red. That's what we took action on previously, and then we have items in blue. The items in blue are the items we need to address today. Does anyone wish to address any action that we took earlier?
Okay. He's looking for a color copy. He cannot find a color copy.
Was it? Did you check your mailbox?
There was not one in my
Ms. Pitts, did Commissioner Grady, did you get him a color-coded copy? Do you have one? Okay, can you show them how to pull it up on the... I know Commissioner Caskey can, and I'll click on the second attachment there, Jim.
I see that one. View document.
Okay.
Scroll down and see if it has it in red. And model public records policy.
Okay.
Rhonda, this is not opening on model policy updates, April 10 PDF. How quickly can you make us copies? Go ahead, let's do that. I apologize. Do you need one, Commissioner Caskey?
I have one.
You have one, we need 3. Gentlemen, I apologize. That was coming up before, I understand.
I mean, I've got it pulled up here.
You got yours going? Yeah. Officer of the court can do things that we can't. You got one that's good.
Yeah, I got it, but I mean, I had to print it. On a color copier.
Right.
You print it on a copier. Printer can show it.
The blue. Okay, while Ms. Pitts is taking care of that item, at this time, I'd like Jackie Glenn, that's the person we designated as the Open Records Request Coordinator, if she would like to make any comments, or if we have any questions to direct to her, because I didn't realize, in another meeting, found out she takes over 500 requests a month, which may be valuable that we hear from Ms. Glenn. Go ahead, Jackie.
Right now, we charge $1 a page, and we vote on it annually through the Blount County Public Records Commission. And according to Tennessee Code, I think we're allowed to do that as long as we can charge more than 15 cents a page, as long as we can provide the documentation that it costs more than that for us to make those copies in a year.
With the committee's indulgent, if the chair, so you feel like that what we talked about, 15 cents a copy, is not really going to cover your cost in preparing those copies?
No.
And then there's a certification fee. Can you tell us about your certification fee?
We charge 50 cents a page to certify, and it's just saying that it's a certified copy of the original document.
Does other agencies of Blount County government do a certification?
They do. Circuit Court, I think, charges either $5 or $5.50 for certification. And Chancery Court charges, I think, $5. And they charge 50 cents a page for a copy. And then on marriages, I think the marriages, county clerk charges $7, is that right, Gabe? For a certified copy of the marriage license.
The Open Records Council did make an exception for those fee holders, fee offices, to charge what the statute allows.
Okay.
But now we're looking, though, when we set in the last meeting, 15 cents for black and white and 50 cents for color. That's why I want Ms. Glenn to share with us, see if we want to stay with that or amend it.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may, if you're going to do that, I think by statute you have to be able to justify that is your cost. And I don't think just comparing what one office may charge or another,
Right.
You have to justify. The statute says you may charge your reasonable cost, so you'd have to have some calculation of what it costs you to make a copy based on your copier and so forth and so on. And then it also says that you can assess the cost in the manner established by the Office of Open Records Counsel. And I've had some notes. I read that to you assess it in the manner, but we still can set the cost. They have set the cost. They have recommended 15 cents per page in the Open Records office's model
policy.
But if we're going to do more than 15, I think we just need to be prepared to say here's why. and come up with some formula as to why we think it costs us more than 15 cents a page. And I don't know if we can do that, or it may require, factor in the personnel making it and the cost of the copying machine. I don't know how you do that.
And you do that though, don't you? She has a board, you report to the records.
The Records Commission.
Commission.
Blount
Blount County
County
Records Commission.
Records Commission meets twice a year, and we vote on that annually, but we use the lease on the copy machine and the paper and the certification seals and different
So you all do
things.
calculate that?
Yeah, we do.
I mean, if we can justify it, the statute allows us to charge our cost. And often, the policy recommended by the Open Records Office is just it's a recommendation, but we don't have to adhere to that if we can justify that it cost us more, so.
The only thing I could say about that would be we might need to survey the other offices and get their costs, because if they have a document and I'm going to refer it to another custodian, then we might need to factor that in.
Well, most of the records probably won't be with you. It probably will be to somebody, one of the department heads as a general rule. I mean, the one that gets inundated the most is the sheriff's department, obviously, and I know the mayor's office gets quite a few.
And circuit court gets a lot.
But the question that begs us is, do we want to remain at 15 cents? Now hearing that they have made a calculation of some assessment of their cost, do we want to proceed with 15, or do we want to change it?
I think we definitely should change it.
Ms. Tinkle, are you want to make a motion to amend that to what?
Well, if we can justify the dollar per copy, I would make that recommendation. And 50 cents for the certification.
Okay, we have a motion to charge it. I don't know, if Jackie, you feel comfortable that we can approve cost of $1 a page?
I think so, because we've
I'd feel
been
more
voting
comfortable
on
with
it
50 cents, but-
annually.
Okay. Mr. Hinkle, $1?
That seems like, what do you charge in your office if the public comes to your window? Do you have a set fee,
The
Gay?
only thing that we really copy for people is a marriage certificate, and that's already set.
Not statute.
But I know with Tim and Phyllis's office, it's 50 cents a copy.
Is it 50 cents?
50 cents a page.
I don't know what.
Could I amend that?
Yes. 50 cents?
50 cents.
Okay, we have a motion to change 15 to 50. Is there a second? Okay, Commissioner Caskey, if you push on the floor, down there in the lower bar, on the floor, because it'll capture the motion, and mover, push move,
Motion,
right up there in the middle.
motion to adopt.
Right. There you go. It's actually a motion to amend, and Commissioner Caskey second, so.
Still dealing with those dummies, and
Now, the motion's changed to strike 15 and put in 50 cents a page. 50 cents would be color or black and white. We're still good with 50 cents on color. Okay, any other questions for Jackie before she's trying to leave the microphone? Thank you, Jackie. Any other discussion? Okay, if you're in favor of 50 cents a page, vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no.
Mr. Chairman, that motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. Okay, let's see, I believe, does anyone have anything that we want to back up on like we did on this cost? We're not, we'll go ahead and go forward. Yes, Commissioner Caskey.
I'm trying to look under, on page 11, I believe it's 6D. there's also under fees and charges there, we're also reflecting 15 and 50 there. Are we going to change that also?
Yes, 50, that'd be going to 50 cents per letter or legal size, black and white, 50, be the same cost. That's actually what we were taking care of in that motion. Okay, under item, on page 4, item 2C, indicate additional acceptable means for submission of request. Inspection made orally or in writing. If it's orally, it'd be in person. I think we need to put in person. We're going to, advice of counsel is that we do not accept these by phone because you don't have a way to verify residency.
And in D's where I noticed that too, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
It down in the D's where it's kind of authorized.
Rise.
Yeah.
You strike out by phone. In item D, that's the
Yes.
recommendation of council is that we do not accept by phone. And would you like to offer any guidance there, or?
Well, which is one of the requirements to be able to make an open record request. You have to be able to establish that you are a citizen of the state of Tennessee, and if you allow these to come through by phone, there's no way to really verify that. Plus, I just think it'd be cumbersome for somebody to call on the phone and orally try to make a request. I think they need to either make it in person or in writing, so it would be easy to respond to, and you can verify as required. I think we have it in there that to provide an ID that shows they are Tennessee resident. Because I have dealt with requests from out-of-state corporations for documents, large requests, and we've denied those because they're not, Tennessee citizens.
Domiciled in Tennessee. Are you, Mr. Garrett, are you okay with email?
Yeah, that's fine.
Provided they provide a scan of their driver's license or some other way to do it?
I have no, from a legal standpoint, just as long as you provide a uniform, email address for them to send it to, one specific email address, which I guess you have in there, have Jackie's email.
Email address. It will be placed in there. So item 2D on page 4, the chair asked unanimous consent to strike or by phone. Is there objection? Hearing no objection, so ordered. Next item. If records custodian denies a public record request, he or she shall deny the request in writing as provided in section 3A2B using the public records request form.
What page?
It's on page 8.
Page 8?
Page 8, about middle of the page. There was no action taken on that matter. It's basically, will we use the form that they recommend on a denial?
Seems like a good idea to me. I mean, you're uniform that way.
If there was any objection, hearing no objection, so ordered. So we'll just make item 3. We will use the form.
I think
Redaction.
make Jackie's job easier than her trying to formulate a letter for each one, and she can just use the form.
Don, if you want, Don's got a comment.
I just had a request on the email. You were talking about putting Jackie's email. Is on the email, instead of using her account, is there a way that we can set up a special one just for it, so that way if she's sick or on vacation, we can still tend to those requests?
It'll probably have open the custodian's title on there.
Not
Public records
have it
request
go to the mayor's
coordinator.
office too. When it comes in on that email, maybe go more than one place. So
Right.
make sure we go to Jackie's if she happened to be gone, so it comes to the mayor's office as well, so we're aware of it, because there are time constraints on these things, and they're pretty short when you start trying to.
Just to say that you've seen it, that you received it, there's a time frame on it, and there's a time frame on acceptance or denial.
Yes.
So, let's see. Redaction of records. The records custodian and the private records may also consult with the Office of Open Records or with the Office of the Attorney General and Reporter.
That's if it's a state agency. I think that's referenced somewhere in the statute to take it.
Okay, so we want to leave that's item C1 there in its entirety.
I mean,
That's where we manage your
generally
guys.
they consult with me, with our counsel. I mean, I guess we may consult with anybody we want to, but I don't know that. Well,
Okay, so,
that's up to you all, but May doesn't require us to do anything, but I just want Jackie to know she can call me, and because most people do call me on these, and I can research whether something is confidential or not confidential.
does anyone feel strongly about leaving the language in? You've heard Mr. Garrett say that he would be the first person, as it says. But we wouldn't limit it just to Mr. Garrett or the
Well, it
county
says
attorney.
in the second sentence, if
Right.
questions arise concerning the records custodian should coordinate with counsel,
Right.
which we do,
Right.
or other appropriate, and then that last sentence or two, I mean, that can either be in or not. It's kind of, up to you all. It doesn't require us to do anything. We certainly can't, I don't think we can, the part about with the Office of the Attorney General and Reporter only applies if it's, if it was a state agency, so that definitely shouldn't be in,
Okay.
because we don't have any right to
So
consult.
your advice is really to strike the
I'd
last
probably
sentence?
take the whole sentence out, the whole last sentence.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Hinkle. Push your motion maker button there. To strike the
second.
last sentence, do we have a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Caskey seconds. To strike the last sentence in section C, item 1. Okay, any other, more discussion? If not, if you're in favor of the motion, vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no.
Mr. Chairman, you have 4 yes votes on that.
Okay, thank you. And the next item is item 6, fees and charges. No charges should be assessed for copies of duplicates unless. Mr. Garrett, that's basically a way to waive charges?
It is, they're suggesting that if you choose, you can set a minimum threshold that you won't charge, if it's 1 or 2 copies or, less than $5. Something, they're suggesting you can do that if you want to, if you want to
As a
say.
minimus amount?
Yeah, if it's a de minimis amount that you may choose not to charge. And kind of the same thing it relates to that is C below, that you can waive your fees for copy and labor that do not exceed a dollar amount. So that is kind of in conjunction with what their policy is, that you shouldn't use your fees or charges to hinder access to the public records. And so, you know, somebody comes up and wants a page or two, you know, you may decide that you don't charge, but that's entirely up to the pleasure of the committee and the commission.
Gentlemen?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that what Mr. Ayers talking about is a minimum threshold.
Right,
That's what you're talking
right.
about. So, I'll just move to strike the last sentence and leave it as is.
Okay.
Fees and charges for copy public records should not be used as a hindrance to public record, just a declaratory, just a statement.
And strike the second.
Strike the bracketed. Is there objection? Hearing no objection, so ordered. Poor clerk's over here typing motion, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right, item C, there again, it's,
What about B? I had a note on B for you.
okay, go ahead.
You have it stricken there, but I think that's required by statute that we provide a 10.7503 of the open records. It says that 10.50, the open records statute, section 7 CII says the records custodian shall provide a requester an estimate of the reasonable cost to provide the copies of the material, of the requested material. So I think we have to do that.
Leave that in.
Yeah, we need to leave that in, and we do that because before people make these voluminous requests and they're not sure what it'll cost, and a lot of them ask for an estimate before we go to the time and effort to go and send somebody to spend several hours. And so the statute requires it, so I think B
Should be left in its
should be left in.
We need a motion to that effect.
Now, we'll do it by unanimous consent. Is there objection to leaving B, items 6B in full there?
Mr. Chair?
Hearing no objection, then, Commissioner
I
Gasky,
just had a question.
Okay.
In that sentence, it says using form. Are we going to use the response form for that?
I haven't looked at this. Does the response form have a place to show an estimate?
I believe it does.
I haven't looked at it.
Records requested.
Here it is.
If the cost to be assessed, the requester has the right to receive an estimate. Do you wish to waive your right to an estimate and agree to pay for the copy duplication cost in the amount not to exceed? If so, initial here. So
I think that using that form would be a good idea then.
okay, that satisfy that, Commissioner Caskey?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Chair.
If you have an objection to accepting this, item 6B?
No.
Is there objection?
Response.
Hearing no objection, we'll put that back in, item 6B. C, we're back to authorizing someone the authority to waive the charge if they feel like it's in the best interest of the county and for the public good. And that could be a request, I'd say, from the press. I'm trying to think of some kind of examples where it would be in the best interest of or public good to waive a fee.
That's always possible.
Especially if there was allegations of wrongdoing or something, and these records would show otherwise, then it would be a public interest, public policy to release them at no charge.
I agree. I just don't know what you said as this form has a dollar amount threshold, but first as to any request, as long as it's under a certain amount, may be waived, and then you just have to decide who's going to make that determination.
What if the first sentence was struck and just a statement saying there may be times it will be in the best interest of Blount County and for public good to waive the fee? If it was $1 or $1,000, if it's the best interest of the county, I think I've heard you at the microphone say it's in the best interest of the county.
That's always, I mean, like, for example, if some nonprofit, that's trying to get some records to help do good, I mean, we might waive a larger fee, so I think as long as we have the discretion to waive the fee when it is in the best interest of the county and public good, that certainly is something that needs to be in there.
And not set them at a dollar amount, because that pins you down.
Right.
Mr. Hammondtree, do you have any, what's your opinion? Okay. Well, Chair will entertain a motion then to strike the first sentence of 6C.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have motions. Strike the first sentence of 6C. Is there a second?
I would second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
We've got to determine who decided.
Right.
We'll take that up. Okay, all in favor of striking that sentence, let's vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no.
You want this a motion?
Pardon me?
You want this?
The motion is to strike first sentence on item 6C. And we've got a motion by Hinkle. Okay. Please vote.
Motion passed, Jeff.
Vote passes 4-0. Now, does the committee have guidance on who make that decision to waive? Chief Fiscal Officer, he's looking at the ceiling back there.
No?
Mr. Garrett, do you have any advice?
It's somebody that, if you're going to have somebody that's making a determination of what's in the best interest of Blount County and the public good, it probably needs to be somebody whose job it is to address those issues. So it seems like that would best be addressed in the mayor's office, I would think.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Hinkle moves that the mayor be given authority to waive these fees. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Caskey seconds. Clerk is going to type. The new system works well.
Does it?
It generates minutes.
Oh, does it make its own minutes?
Oh, yes.
Cool, that's good.
Vote caption.
Glad we've got a clerk that's a good typist.
Okay, the motion is to the mayor be given authority to waive the fees. That's under item 6C. If you're in favor of the motion,
Mr. Chairman, I have one question,
Okay.
please.
Mr.
In the
Cassidy.
same paragraph, it says fees associated with aggregated records requests will not be waived.
That's bracketed, so unless we take action, it won't be included. And everybody understands about the aggregation and why.
We're going to cover that a little bit.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
the bracketed part will not be part of the policy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Clarification. Okay, all in favor of the motion, vote yes. Opposed, vote no. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor. 4 yes, 0 no. That takes us to advance payment. No? No duplication costs will be charged for requests less than so many pages.
You seem to have covered that.
We've already covered that,
I think
so
you strike that.
E is struck on page 7. Payment. We talked about cash and credit card. Jackie is set up to take credit cards. We established that last meeting. It'd be presented to the private records request coordinator, which is Jackie Glenn. What about personal checks? Do you take personal checks?
Oh, yeah. I bet they
Everybody
have
does,
to.
okay.
The circuit court clerk does not. So, but, you know,
If that gets to be a problem, we could always modify it and put a very stiff insufficient funds penalty on that in the future. Would that be in order?
I think you could do that if it turns into a problem. Most people won't write the government a bad check, but you never can tell.
That's true.
Circuit court card, he deals with a different breed.
That's why he doesn't take them.
Item G, payment in advance will be required when costs are estimated to exceed a certain amount. Jackie, do you have any guidelines that you all use if you require partial payment or payment in advance if it's, say, 3,000 pages or?
We normally charge in advance. That's just always been our policy. We've had some law offices that come in and they need to, you know, like a lot of copies, and they're here locally, and we might let them pay us later, you know, bill them, give them an invoice, and they give us the check back. That's the only time we've ever done that.
But the majority are paid when they make the request. You give them an
Yes.
estimate and they pay it when the
Yes.
request is made.
We always check to make sure we've got it, if it's in our possession, and then we tell them how many pages and what that estimate will be, and then they either mail a check or come in, you know,
And
pick
settle.
them up.
Mr. Garrett, do you have guidance?
You know, if you set a dollar amount there, $100 or something, you know, if you're gonna have to, you know, spend some time and some money, you just make sure that the people are serious about it. But I don't know what that dollar amount should be, but.
Thank you, Jackie. Yes, sir.
You're the art teacher.
I don't have a picture. That's Mr. Evertree out.
Find a picture, go grade you a picture so he can understand it.
Committee have a recommendation?
I move that anything over $25.
Have a motion, Mr. Hammondtree, any amount over $25. Reach over there and push this motion button.
Go you get I
Is there-
move that.
Is there a second?
Oh, wait a minute.
Wait, okay, you move.
Can I move now?
Yep,
Oh, sign motion, okay. I
$25.
want to say that $25 or more.
We set the minimum, so.
Is there a second?
I'll second 25.
The motion is to payment in advance will be required when the cost estimate exceeds $25. Motion made by Hammondtree, Commissioner Caskey.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Should be on hand on pushing second. There we go. Discussion. Cause any grief? Okay. Members ready for the question? If you're in favor of the motion, vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay. We need to deal with aggregating now, and whether or not it's for Blount County government, for a department of government, an office.
Is that 4 hours in red something that the committee did at the last meeting, 4 hours instead of 4 requests?
It should be 4 requests.
Okay, I was gonna say, I didn't understand it because I think it's the way that,
Blount County government will aggregate 4 or more requests. So
2A, the level, I recommend for Blount County and not try to break it into departments, just,
County.
I think that's, I did a little bit of studying on it, and I think that's what they mean. They want you to designate whether you're talking about, you know, if they made 4 at the sheriff's department and 4 at the highway department, but just, I think we just need to say from Blount County government, period, in number 2A, and not try to break it down by department.
the
within
level
the
of which
county.
records will be aggregated is Blount County government.
Yes, for Blount County
For
government.
Blount County government.
Yes.
Everybody follow that? Everybody able to hear Mr. Garrett? The level at which records requests will be aggregated will be for Blount County government. So without objection, we'll proceed at that level. Hearing no objection, so ordered.
That B, are you gonna do B and C on that?
We can.
Well, I just,
You've got some guidance on it, so please share.
well, I'm not sure about this part that advising that there's a right to appeal a decision to the Open Records Office. That to me is gonna be cumbersome and time consuming, and I don't know
Is it
exactly how that.
required?
And it's not required by law. That's something that they want to do, but I don't think that's something that necessarily needs to be in there.
Chair will stand for motion then to strike item 2B on
Well,
page 7.
The last sentence that, and where it says, and the right to appeal the decision of the OOC, I think, the first part, that our coordinator is responsible for making the determination that a group of individuals is working in concert, that's fine.
That's okay.
And, so,
Must inform the individuals. So you're recommending we strike the last
right,
sentence?
the last, where it says, and that they have a right to appeal the decision to the OORC. That, I don't think needs to be in.
Mr. Chairman, I would
Working in
move that we
concert.
do that.
Mr. Caskey, go
I would
ahead.
move that we strike
From the word,
everything after and
well,
in the
strike
last
the word
sentence.
and all.
strike the word and all that follows.
Okay, we have a motion on item 2B. After the word concert, strike everything else in that sentence. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Hammondtree seconds.
What's your second? There you go.
Thank you. Got it?
And did you address C last time, or do you want to address C? I saw some.
We'll take this motion and vote
Oh,
on
I'm
it.
sorry. I thought
That's
you
okay.
voted. I thought
No,
y'all
no.
voted.
All the members ready for the question? If you're in favor of the motion, vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no.
Yes votes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now, yes, Mr. Garrett.
In C, did the committee address
No, sir.
2C about routinely released records, excluding those from aggregation? I saw somewhere where you said regular postings of notices of meetings and so forth was excluded, but
We touched on it a little bit because with Granicus, there's so much more online now that we could hopefully, Jackie or someone or Ms. Pitts, if it's something to do with commission, they could call the party back and steer them to where the record is, where they can access it directly.
Well, I don't know if you need C at all. I mean, it either needs to be, you either need to include some records that will be excluded from aggregation, or not even have that in there at all.
Okay, so without objection, we'll strike item 2C. Is there objection? Hearing no objection, we'll strike it. Anything else?
Is that the end of the policy? Seems to say, according to what I have here,
It is. There's some notes on the end, policy considerations,
I think
but that's not part.
That's just what
that
you're
will not
supposed to
be
look
part
at.
of.
Yeah, making your decision. It's not part of the actual policy.
What would your guidance be, Mr. Garrett, on if we do driver's license or any other government issued ID, photo ID?
That's,
Will we keep a copy of that? And if we keep a copy, then we have a burden to safeguard that. Should we just have a check off by the person accepting it, saying that they've
I think that's adequate, that as long as Jackie or somebody in her office verifies it, looks at their license and checks it off, no need to copy it and make us responsible for their personal
And it
information.
may be a VA.
Could be
it's
something.
A government issued ID is what
Right.
that shows residency.
The statute may say something about any other form of ID that's sufficient. I can't remember, if I can find that real quick, but.
Mr. Tinkle, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, on page 4, 2C, that first sentence, did we vote or whatever to insert in person after orally in that first sentence?
Request for inspection made orally or in writing. We want to strike the word
Oh, add,
in person, orally in person. We're going to insert to make it obvious that you can't make a
Yeah.
phone call. You know, we're going to maybe made orally in person or in writing. I think I asked for unanimous consent on that. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the statute talks about ID and says a record custodian may require a citizen making a request present a photo identification if the person possesses a photo identification issued by a governmental entity that includes their address. If a person does not possess a photo identification, the records custodian may require other forms of identification acceptable to the records custodian. So that's the language in the statute.
And they're permissive.
And, well, no, the statute's required.
Yeah, but it says may.
Well, it may require other forms, but
May require.
yeah, but we can leave that to the records custodian to if somebody has something that's sufficient and doesn't have a photo ID, you can leave it in their discretion. They may require other forms.
So if they lived across the street from the records custodian and has lived there 25 years.
Right, but I think, if we just mirror the language of the statute, we won't, then in our policy, then we'll be in good shape.
Okay, so you're going to review the policy in total once the clerk finishes. Will you insert that?
I will. I'll be glad to. I'll just make sure the statutory language is included.
Okay, does anyone else, does any of the members have any question while we have Mr. Garrett here, or Jackie, or Don Stallions? Does anyone have any questions?
What about voter registration?
The photo ID, right. It
But
does.
a voter registration would probably work without a photo ID as long as you are sure it's that person, because you can't have a voter ID unless you're resident. All you're trying to verify is they live in the state of Tennessee. So if they have a voter ID from Tennessee and it's the person it's on the, that they are not using somebody else's, then that should be sufficient.
Person known to you, or if you have pretty
Right.
good knowledge. Anything else? Jackie, I want to thank you and all the stallions for being here today, and especially Mr. Garrett. So if there's nothing else, without objection, we'll adjourn.
Are y'all sending this, is this the last meeting before this goes to
This will
commission?
be going to commission after your review. We're adjourned.